What if the clearest way to understand where Jacksonville's economy is heading in 2026 isn't by looking at statistics, but by looking at what businesses are actually building on the ground? In growing markets, capital rarely moves without conviction. Companies do not commit millions of dollars to new facilities, retail locations, or long-term developments based on speculation alone. They rely on data, demographic trends, traffic patterns, and long-range projections before making those decisions. In Jacksonville, that confidence is becoming increasingly visible across multiple sectors at once. When recent projects such as Option Care Health's infusion therapy facility near Baymeadows, a newly approved QuikTrip location on the Westside, and Baptist Primary Care's expansion within the eTown master-planned community are viewed together, they begin to tell a much larger story. This is not isolated or random growth. It is layered, strategic expansion happening simultaneously across healthcare, retail, and integrated community development. That type of synchronized movement across industries is often a defining characteristic of cities entering a new phase of economic maturity. It signals that growth is not being driven by a single sector, but by a diversified foundation that supports long-term stability. Healthcare investment, in particular, serves as one of the strongest indicators of sustained regional growth. Medical providers typically expand in areas where population trends are consistent and where long-term demand for services is expected to remain strong. Facilities such as infusion therapy centers represent a specialized segment of healthcare, serving patients who require ongoing treatment for chronic conditions, infections, or complex medical needs. These services are increasingly delivered outside traditional hospital settings, creating demand for outpatient facilities that are both accessible and efficient. Option Care Health's decision to establish a facility near Baymeadows reflects a calculated assessment of Jacksonville's demographic trajectory. Central corridors like Baymeadows offer a combination of accessibility, population density, and proximity to multiple surrounding neighborhoods, making them ideal locations for healthcare services that serve a broad patient base. The presence of this type of facility signals that healthcare providers see not only current demand but also future growth that will sustain operations over time. Beyond patient care, healthcare expansion generates ripple effects throughout the local economy. Each facility creates employment opportunities for medical professionals, administrative staff, and support personnel. It increases demand for nearby services such as pharmacies, laboratories, and outpatient care providers. It strengthens the region's overall healthcare network, making Jacksonville more attractive to both residents and businesses seeking access to reliable medical infrastructure. As these facilities expand, they reinforce Jacksonville's role as a regional healthcare hub capable of supporting a growing and increasingly diverse population. At the same time, retail investment is emerging as another strong indicator of economic momentum. The approval of a QuikTrip convenience store on Jacksonville's Westside represents more than a single commercial project. National retail brands operate with detailed market analysis, evaluating factors such as traffic flow, population growth, and long-term consumer demand before entering new locations. When a company like QuikTrip commits to a market, it signals confidence in sustained activity rather than short-term opportunity. Convenience stores often serve as early-stage anchors within growing areas. They follow population trends but also anticipate future expansion. Their presence can attract additional businesses, including quick-service restaurants, automotive services, and small retail centers. Over time, these clusters evolve into established commercial corridors that serve both residents and commuters. In this way, a single retail approval can act as the foundation for broader economic activity. The Westside, traditionally known for its affordability, is beginning to attract this type of attention as growth patterns shift across Jacksonville. Retail investment in these areas indicates that population density and traffic patterns have reached a level where national operators see long-term viability. As more businesses enter the area, they contribute to a cycle of development that gradually transforms the surrounding landscape. While healthcare and retail expansion provide important signals, the most comprehensive example of Jacksonville's growth strategy can be seen in developments like eTown. Located in southeastern Jacksonville, eTown represents a new generation of master-planned communities designed to integrate residential, commercial, and professional spaces into a unified environment. Rather than separating housing from services, these developments are structured to support daily life within a contained ecosystem. Baptist Primary Care's decision to build a medical office within eTown reflects this approach. Primary care facilities are often positioned in areas where population growth is expected to remain strong, ensuring that residents have access to routine medical services without traveling long distances. The placement of healthcare within a master planned community reinforces the concept of integrated living, where essential services are accessible within close proximity to residential neighborhoods. This model represents a shift from traditional development patterns, where infrastructure and services often lag behind housing construction. In modern communities, these elements are introduced simultaneously, creating environments that are both functional and efficient from the outset. For residents, this translates into convenience and improved quality of life. Access to healthcare, retail, and professional services within a short distance reduces travel time and supports a more balanced daily routine. For the city, it creates a more efficient use of infrastructure, distributing traffic and reducing strain on centralized systems. The growth of eTown also reflects broader demographic trends shaping Jacksonville. As new residents continue relocating to Northeast Florida, demand for well-planned communities has increased. Buyers are not only seeking homes, but also environments that offer accessibility, amenities, and long-term stability. Developments like eTown meet these expectations by combining housing with services in a way that aligns with modern lifestyle preferences. When viewed collectively, the expansion of healthcare facilities, retail investment, and master-planned communities reveals a pattern of diversified growth. Jacksonville is not relying on a single industry or geographic area to drive its expansion. Instead, multiple sectors are advancing simultaneously across different parts of the city. This distribution of growth contributes to a more balanced and resilient economy. Cities that expand in multiple directions tend to avoid the limitations associated with concentrated development. When growth is spread across various corridors, it creates opportunities for different neighborhoods to evolve based on their unique characteristics. Baymeadows continues strengthening its position as a central hub for healthcare and services. The Westside is emerging as an area of retail expansion and affordability-driven growth. Southeast Jacksonville, through developments like eTown, is becoming a focal point for integrated community planning. This multi-directional expansion reflects a market that is both dynamic and adaptable. Timing also plays a critical role in understanding Jacksonville's current trajectory. The projects taking shape in 2026 are not speculative developments based on uncertain future conditions. They are responses to present-day demand supported by measurable growth trends. Businesses are committing resources based on confidence in the current environment, not just expectations of future expansion. This distinction is important because it indicates that Jacksonville's growth has reached a level of maturity where investment decisions are grounded in established patterns rather than emerging potential. From a real estate perspective, the implications of this growth are significant. Business expansion directly influences housing demand. As new jobs are created, more people relocate to the area. As services expand, neighborhoods become more attractive to potential buyers. This relationship between commercial development and residential demand creates a cycle where each reinforces the other. Buyers evaluating homes are increasingly considering factors beyond the property itself. Proximity to healthcare, retail, and services has become an important component of decision-making. The presence of new developments signals that an area is not only growing, but also evolving in ways that support long-term livability. Investors also benefit from this diversified growth pattern. When multiple sectors expand simultaneously, the overall market becomes more stable. Reliance on a single industry can create vulnerability during economic shifts, but a balanced economy provides greater resilience. Healthcare, retail, and mixed-use development each contribute to a broader foundation that supports sustained growth. As Jacksonville continues expanding, this diversification is likely to remain one of its key strengths. Looking ahead, the momentum created by these projects is unlikely to dissipate quickly. Once businesses commit capital and development cycles begin, additional projects tend to follow. New approvals, expansions, and investments build upon existing activity, creating a continuous cycle of growth. Jacksonville's current trajectory suggests that this cycle is well underway. The combination of population growth, infrastructure improvements, and business investment positions the city for continued expansion across multiple sectors. Ultimately, the developments taking place across Jacksonville in 2026 reflect more than individual projects. They represent a city transitioning into a more advanced stage of economic development. Healthcare providers are expanding to meet growing demand. Retailers are entering new markets to serve evolving communities. Master plan developments are integrating services to support modern lifestyles. Together, these elements illustrate a city that is not only growing in size, but also increasing in complexity and capability. Jacksonville is building the systems and infrastructure necessary to support its population for the long term, transforming growth into sustained momentum that will shape its future for years to come. I'm Luke Christmas, and it's always Christmas when you work with Christmas Homes.